Hey guys, welcome back to the New Tennis Era podcast. My name's Anthony Hirsch. Today I'm going to be talking about the first week of the Miami Open. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about two matches. They are Fritz, Shapo and also Fonseca versus Minaur. We have already had quite a few upsets happen. Notably, Alcaraz was the biggest one so far. Most people considered him the favorite for the event. I'll talk a little bit about Alcaraz too and where I kind of think he's at the moment. And also what we can expect from him from the rest of the year. Like, is he having a rough year? It's a decent question, but I felt like the reason I want to talk about Fritz, Shapo and Fonseca Minaur, I think that would be good to get to talk about first, is the reason I chose those matches is Fritz Shapo. Shapo holds a 6-4 head-to-head record against Fritz and beat him earlier this year in Dallas, and also I think Fritz is the favorite to take the title home in Miami at this point. I think he's playing the best tennis of anybody, and I want to talk about why I think he played really good tennis in this match and how he played good tennis in this match. And then also Fonseca versus Minaur was a fantastic, fantastic 3-set match. And Fonseca has been big talk of the town, and Minaur is playing underrated tennis. So that's why I chose those matches. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Please don't forget to like the video as well. It would be appreciated. Anthony Hirsch here of the New Tennis Era podcast. And let's get into it. So Fonseca versus Minaur. First of all, the level of this match was so high. Just watching the match was amazing. Just the ball striking from both. It's incredible the way that Minaur can redirect the ball at ease off both wings. Fonseca's just effortless firepower and his athleticism on the court is just phenomenal. And also I felt like Minaur was good at the net. He won 10 out of 14 net points, and I feel like he's improved a lot there, and he has good skill coming to net. He's got good hands, and I feel like I was happy that Minaur was able to use that to his advantage and was better than Fonseca in this match at the net. The other thing is Minaur won 70% of his first serve points, which is a great sign for Minaur. And the biggest stat, I guess you could say, of the match was Fonseca saved just 1 out of 5 break points that he faced. So definitely could have done better at being clutch behind his own serve. But it was a really good match, and particularly the quality in the second set, I was really blown away by it, to be honest, so I'll get into it. Very close couple, the first set and the second set. The third set had its ups and downs as well, though. The other stat that I wanted to point out, last stat that I wanted to point out, actually, I forgot about this one, is that if you break down the rallies of the match into 1 to 4 shots, 5 to 8 shots, and 9+. Fonseca won 29 to 22 points in 5 to 8 shot rallies. Minaur dominated the 1 to 4 and 9+. And the reason I bring that up is because I feel like this is actually really key for what happened in this match, and let me tell you why. Minaur was dominating just like quick aggressive points and the longer rallies, like I was saying. Fonseca can keep things on his terms in the middle. What Fonseca likes to do, or often likes to, or I think he would have wanted to do in this match, is build out the points and hit winners, relatively early, in a 5 to 8 shot range. But he wasn't able to do that because as Fonseca is building out the points aggressively, all of these kind of aggressive attempts to build out the points aggressively early were all just squashed by Minaur neutralizing Fonseca's offense just incredibly well. And actually in the third set I felt like Fonseca was just backing up, and it was Minaur who was able to step in and dictate because his counterpunching and defense to offense is just so strong. So Fonseca, his movement also was his movement is great, but Minaur's is just so exceptional. He's able to redirect the ball and hit such great angles that Fonseca's small kinks and little hitches in movement and little things they could do better were exposed in this match. So those are some of the things I'd say early. I want to go into the key points for the match and talk about exactly what happened. So first set of the match, the first thing that I want to say is that people talk about Fonseca's forehand. First of all, the first 10 games of this match were incredibly close. Not really that much to say there in terms of big things. So the first key points I'll talk about are at 5-5. And it wasn't actually Fonseca's forehand that really came out big for him here, but his backhand and his footwork were particularly amazing, like almost all of these points that he won. Overall, for de Minaur, I felt like just too many central serves, not his best game, but Fonseca, just so impressive the way that he's able to stay on the front foot. That's what I'm talking about with athleticism particularly. Very Sinner-esque kind of pace generation, staying on the front foot, not falling backwards, and being able to just keep hitting over the ball and finding just amazing pace of shot. And I feel like Fonseca's probably must have learned from watching Sinner now too. I mean, Sinner and Alcaraz, like I've said before, have had the big three. Fonseca and Menzik and Prismic and all of these guys, they've had the ability to learn not just off the big three, but off the new big two, which are Sinner and Alcaraz, which is great for them. And yeah, that's what I'd say about the first set. Zhao broke at like love or 15, I think, and then won the set 7-5. What was ultimately a close set, though. What de Minaur did better in the second set was his ability to hit better shots on on defense and just being able to dictate play way better. First of all, his defense on the backhand was amazing. I was really impressed by de Minaur's backhand in the second set. Third set, I was really impressed by de Minaur's forehand. But in the second set, I was really amazed. Well, first of all, he started the second set off just amazingly. De Minaur, just able, like I said, hitting great defensive backhand winners, and he just is able to adapt a little bit more aggressive of a court position. And honestly, the level on defensive shots from both was just unbelievable in the second set. The quality was sky high. But de Minaur a little bit more experienced and just finding ways to win points. Fonseca had to go above and beyond, like you do against de Minaur, to finish off the rallies, because de Minaur was there with some beautiful winners from defense. Like, Fonseca hit a pretty good lob, and de Minaur hits this backhand smash winner that flattens Fonseca out on the ground as he dives for the ball. Like, and just Fonseca attacking off the forehand, de Minaur seeming like he's in a really tough position, is able to just a really amazing backhand down the line. Even if it's not a winner, it's a shot that maybe puts him in an advantageous point in the rally. Just really impressive, difficult things to do on defense, and he was definitely able to, he took more risk and played more aggressively into the court, and it was Fonseca who was amazingly finding it hard to be the one who's staying on the front foot. In the third set, terrible first game from de Minaur, not able to keep going with the momentum, which isn't really a great sign for de Minaur, but just a couple of really poorly struck aggressive kind of forehands from de Minaur, which is something he was doing well in the second set, but his level got higher, his forehand got better. There was a very important 4 or 5 deuce game at 2-1 where Demon broke back. Fonseca should have won the game. Too many just like early gifts from the ground back to the court when he was up in the game. Few gifts. And like I said, de Minaur just really exposing Fonseca's movement at times, as he does here with like superb placement and redirection. And he also gets some gifts from Fonseca's forehand. And then the last things I would kind of say about the match is that I feel like Fonseca started being afraid of de Minaur's aggression actually on the court, and I feel like he backed up. And I think him backing up was also him at least early on, maybe in the second set when he won the first set, was just like underestimating his own ability to defend himself back into points, to winning points, and also underestimating de Minaur's aggression and ability to dictate the play of the court. And he just kind of starts slicing his backhand to de Minaur's forehand, who just attacks it, and I don't know, I feel like Fonseca's court positioning at time lets him down a little bit. Like I said, his movement was left exposed. So a few things that Fonseca, he shouldn't have backed up as much as he did in the second and third set, which was very difficult not to do though, because de Minaur was playing so well aggressively. But that's something that he would want to do better next time. Also do better on de Minaur's first serve, like returning de Minaur's first serve. But the last point I would make about the match, very last point, is that Fonseca's, this is kind of something that I thought about, is that Fonseca's best shots were better than de Minaur, like flashier, better, and I guess that's obvious in a way, but I do want to make a point here that that Fonseca's amazing shots were just superb, especially when they were fed a little bit easier to him just a little bit easier. It still may be difficult, but a little bit easier than the shots that Fonseca was feeding to Minaur, and which he was hitting great shots of. But it was so often that Minaur's like counter-punching and pace generation and defense to offense was so superb. His ability to turn around points and consistently, almost 100% of the time, at great shots from difficult positions. His defense was better than Fonseca's movement. And therefore, even though it was a very high-quality affair from both sides, Minaur was able to maintain a more aggressive court position, and it won him the match. So, in essence, like, I feel like it was Minaur's consistent ability to hit amazing, like, great shots, impressive shots to turn defense into offense that were able to make this match his match. So I felt like, I don't know, Fonseca's, like I said, his best shots when they were fed easier to him were like better, but what won Minaur the match were the little kind of margins and the little things he was doing better to be able to turn points around consistently, and that was like consistently so impressive from Minaur. So that was something I would say as well. And Minaur is just so experienced now. He's really a tough customer, and there's a reason that he was top 10 for the major part of last year. So that's what I'd say about that one. Good win for Minaur. Fonseca is still somebody to look out for. I hope that he does fulfill the potential that everybody's throwing at him, because he is a joy to watch. Fritz versus Shapo. I'm not going to talk about this one as much, but I did want to say that, like I said, Shapovalov actually was winning this head-to-head 6-4. They played quite a number of times and won their match in Dallas earlier this year. But Shapovalov, even though honestly this match was closer than the score suggested, the first set for sure was closer than maybe some would think if they just look at the score. Although, I mean, 7-5 is a close set, but Shapovalov, it definitely could have won the first set, is what I'm trying to say. And even though the second set was 6-3, the first set was anybody's game. Fritz served amazing. I think really enjoyed the faster, low-bouncing courts with his serve. 84% first serve points won, 57% on second serve, 64% first serves in. Also winning an overwhelming amount of baseline rallies early in the match. In the first set, he breaks early, Fritz, and then at 5-3, Shapovalov just starts playing just inspired tennis. He hits the shot of the match in the first point at 5-3. It's ridiculous backhand winner to start off the game at 15-all. He hits a forehand winner that's really flashy and impressive, taking risks, good energy, adrenaline pumping, better, just solid aggressive tennis from Shapovalov. And Fritz's defense and movement, especially out of the backhand quarter, just not ideal. His movement, especially with the artillery that's coming at him from Shapo, just absolutely massive forehand hitting. And it gets to 5-5 love 30, and Shapovalov's actually won 14 of the last 19 points at this point. The problem for Shapo is that Fritz wins the next 8, and he wins the set 7-5 by doing so. And what happened was, honestly, is that Shapo beat himself. He actually fought back and found himself in a winning position, and then as he does, he just doesn't play smart tennis in the big moments. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like at this point, like, Shapovalov from 5-5 love 30, he literally overcooks 4 forehands in a row. 5, actually, because the first point at 6-5, he overcooks another forehand long. Literally 4 forehands, I think all of them long, in a row. 5 forehands long in a row. And then he hits 2 consecutive double faults. And then Fritz actually hits a lefty forehand that wins him the set at, on set point, which is hilarious. He's hitting lefty forehands more consistently than Shapo is. He defends, and for some reason goes with a lefty forehand. And what's also funny about this is that I feel like, like I said, Fritz wasn't really defending well out of the backhand corner, so he was actually, probably had a higher percentage, 100%, defending with a lefty forehand than his backhand out of that backhand corner. But yeah, I mean, Shapo was doing things, there were patterns going the way of Shapo, but Shapo just completely fell apart. I mean, he beat himself. It was Fritz and Shapovalov playing doubles against Shapovalov to win Fritz the set here. Because like one pattern that was working well for Shapo is Fritz was needing to place the serves to the backhand better. Shapovalov was doing great, just not letting Fritz hitting +1 forehands like usual, and he was really running around his backhand to hit forehand returns. And Fritz's backhand was breaking down. He was able to attack the Fritz backhand with his forehand, running around the serves placed to his backhand, which were not placed well enough. And that was working really well for Shapovalov. And he was playing aggressive. He was taking risks. So it was working. But the problem for Shapo is that he's just like, he just runs with you know, like he gets on a good run of momentum, but then it falls apart. Good momentum, that's great, but it's only great if you can sustain it, and he does not. And then, yeah, he gets broken out love to lose the set. And then second set, once again, at 1-0, Shapo beats himself, double faults, hits a backhand into the net, early backhand, and basically Shapo with a good effort here, but he beats himself. He has all the talent, he just needs to play smarter and higher margin on the big moments, but I do want to say Fritz is playing fantastic. Watch out for Fritz, because I really liked the way he was hitting his forehand. I really liked the way that he was playing overall in the second set. He looked confident. And yeah, Fritz was really impressive playing inside the court in this match. In terms of Alcaraz, that's the other thing that I want to point out. Well, first of all, just want to reiterate, I actually picked Fritz to win the tournament before the tournament started. I just had a feeling with Alcaraz's his loss to Lehechka after having a good tournament in Rotterdam kind of struck me the wrong way, and then losing a couple one-sided sets to Draper, or at least one-sided set to Draper. I don't know. It didn't look confident there. I didn't really have a good feeling about his confidence going into Miami, or even he didn't look particularly happy on the court, and that's what really struck me the wrong way about Alcaraz. So I didn't predict him here, and I thought it was a wide-open tournament. I chose Fritz to win the tournament, and right now I think it's looking good. We'll see what happens. But he's won Indian Wells before. Miami plays with different conditions, but with Sinner not there, I mean, if Sinner was here, he'd be astronomical favorite with the way that I still think the Miami final last year against Dimitrov was the best I've ever seen Sinner play. It's some of the best tennis I've seen anybody play, for sure, no doubt. But yeah, in terms of Alcaraz, I just want to make a fairly. I guess this is like the realistic, boring, quote-unquote take with Alcaraz, but this was coming. If you think about it, in my opinion, this was coming. And what I mean by that, which is a very broad statement, I mean that if you think about it, Alcaraz, somebody could argue that Alcaraz had 3 years in a row that were not just fantastic, but could be argued were better than the last. You could argue it. I wouldn't necessarily say 2024 is better than 2023. I think he started the year off with like a 47-4 record in 2023. That includes a loss where he was injured playing against Cameron Norrie in the final of Rio. And he won Wimbledon beating Novak, who was still in prime form basically in 2023. So you can make, but the thing in 2024 he won the Channel Slam, and he won French Open and Wimbledon back to back. And the Wimbledon final, Alcaraz just played out of his mind. So, also some of the best tennis anybody's ever played. So you could argue that this was coming. I mean, it's very hard for somebody who's 21 years old to realistically have just amazing year after amazing year. There was a period between like Cincinnati 2023 and Indian Wells 2024 where it could be argued Alcaraz already had like a tougher period for him, but you know, Alcaraz got out of that period quite well. Even at that time, he was getting to quarterfinals of slams and semifinals of slams and semifinals of ATP finals. For a down period, he was actually doing pretty well. I don't think it's surprising for things to slow down a little bit. I think it's not that worrying. The only time I'll get super worried for Carlos is if by the end of the U.S. Open, or maybe even going into the U.S. Open, if he's still losing to David Goffin, Yuri Lehechka, players who are good, but not you should not be losing to if you're Carlos Alcaraz. If that's still happening, then I'll be worried. At this point, I am not worried for Alcaraz. And people make these comparisons, say Leighton Hewitt, so good early in his career, is Alcaraz another Hewitt? I really just don't tend to think so. We'll see what happens, but I don't think so. I appreciate you guys watching the podcast. Tune in next week for more stuff. I'll be covering the Miami Open final. Don't forget to subscribe, Quality Shot Tennis, and I will see you guys at the next one.